Hey Ken Heat fans, the point of this video is to prove once and for all the debate, the controversy, the contention all over the internet, on blogs galore, about where exactly Alan Blyndall Wilson died on September 3rd, 1970. Well, he died behind Bob the Bear Hite's house at 701 Topanga Canyon Boulevard, and I have proof positive exactly that, why I know exactly why it's that address, because I went to the county recorder's office of Los Angeles to get the original, or a copy of the original death certificate of Alan Blyndall Wilson. I've been getting messages from a lot of naysayers and skeptics on my channel saying that that's not the house. It was destroyed in 1970 and it was nowhere near 701 Topanga Canyon Boulevard, and that it was actually in the downtown, or the little village of Topanga, next to the post office, and sure, next to the police station and next to the village. All the businesses in that area, sure. They didn't Bob the Bear Hite, let me tell you something. 1960s rock and rollers, a house like that where Bob the Bear Hite and Canned Heat hung out and performed and rehearsed with all the rock and rollers of the 1960s stopping by, dropping acid, smoking pot, taking methadone, having sex orgies. Let me tell you, the last place they're going to want to live is right next to the post office. And even without this death certificate that I got, the logic would just prove that there's no way they would live in the village. They would live exactly where it's said in a couple of sites, including the biography of Alan Wilson and some of those books there. They all say 701, and that right there is proof positive that he would have lived right in the middle of the canyon, way far away from anybody, so these guys could have rehearsed and performed and had a good old time. Well, here it is. I went to Norwalk, California. I did my due diligence for you fans, and it was really irritating me too, because then I started getting like you know, skeptical, and I was doubting the fact that I uploaded the wrong video and I didn't do the right thing for posterity. But now I got proof positive that that was the exact house that was owned by Bob the Bear Hite, where he had 75,000 blues albums inside that house. And I'm not too sure if the family still owns it. I'm not too sure, but it's still there, and it's full of graffiti, and I uploaded it to my YouTube video channel, so I hope you guys go and check it out. And here it is, certificate of death, serial number there, state of California, certification of vital record, County of LA Registrar, Recorder, County Clerk, and there it is, Alan Christie Wilson, September 3rd, born July 4th, 1943. His mother was Shirley, I think you say Begum or Beham, in Massachusetts. There's his dad, John C. Wilson Jr., and last occupation, composer, musician, name of employing company, Canned Heat Incorporated, band, and there's the address. Fans, Canned Heat fans, 701 Topanga Canyon. So let's finally lay to rest, pun not intended, the controversy that that's not the address. That's indisputably the address. And my theory, he was cremated there, and my theory is that I think the real estate agency, or the people that own the property, deliberately probably, or maybe got a publicist years ago and disseminated this false information, and they put out this false information to obfuscate, divert, mislead, entangle, goof up, confuse, becloud, befuddle, confound, and muddle all us fans. And if you really think about it, they probably just didn't want a lot of people going there, and the way fans usually do, steal pieces of the house and leave memorials in memory of Bob the Bear Hite and Alan Blyndall Wilson, candles, flowers, and turning it all together into a shrine to a rock and roll legend who died oddly at 27. Jimi Hendrix died 2 weeks later at 27. And Janis Joplin, strangely enough, died at 27 4 weeks later. So if you guys are hardcore fans, you know that Bob the Bear Hite died in 1981, and he was 38. And the band is still around, but if you can really call it the band, I think Larry the Mole Taylor, the bass player, is still in the band, and Fito de la Parra, who took over from Frank Cook in 1967. And you see Frank Cook, the original drummer, at the Monterey Pop Festival, but he quit, I think, like a week before, or maybe I think even 2 days before Woodstock. And then the drummer you see in Woodstock, you see Fito, who was from Mexico City. And then it had the original lineup was pretty much set by 1967 with Henry Sunflower Vestine. He was the lead guitarist, who incidentally is the 77th top guitarist of all time in the top 100 of Rolling Stone magazine. And so I think I'm going to lay to rest, like I said before, pun not intended, the controversy from all the skeptics, all the threads, all the blogs that say no, the house was destroyed by a flood. No, that's not true. He died in the official record behind Bob the Bear Hite's house, and that's the address, 701 Topanga Canyon Boulevard. So I just wanted to prove it to myself, actually, but then I got tired of all the messages that left on my message board in my YouTube channel that no, man, you can't do that. You're putting a lie up on the internet and YouTube that's the house, and it's not the house. And believe me, I'm the type of guy that if I'm going to upload something for posterity, and say if they ever destroy that house or burn it down or raise it or retrofit it, I want to get like the real original thing, and I want to upload it for us fans and posterity. I don't want to put up a lie. But like I said, I was starting to doubt myself, and now I've proven it. I made the effort to go to Norwalk. That was a hell of a trip going over there, all that terrible traffic. But that's proof positive, indisputably, that is the house. And one more thing here, I just want to let you know a little bit about Alan Wilson. He was called Blind Al because he was severely myopic, and because an owl represents pedantry, and he was very educated. And where he got his style of singing was singing along to the old Bluesman records by Skip James, and that's how he developed his high tenor voice. And he was such a genius in the blues that he recorded an album with the old bluesman Son House in 1965 called The Father of Delta Blues. And poor old Son House, he was so old and he was so forgetful of his own songs that Blind Al Wilson, he was such a genius that he had to teach Son House his own songs that he recorded from 1930 to 1942. That's how prolific of a blues musician this Alan Wilson was. He was an amazing guy. And one more thing, that song you hear in the background, Poor Moon, he was an avid hardcore conservationist, and when the Apollo mission went to the moon, he wrote this song because he was afraid of the potential pollution that man would bring to the moon. So I guess you guys, if you don't have any other CDs or albums, you can go to YouTube and play any of his songs. Thank God for YouTube, huh? And here it is again, and in the back here it says here, it just deals with his medical, what he died of, and it says here acute barbiturate, intoxication, ingestion of overdose, and then there's Thomas Noguchi there, coroner, September 3rd, 1970. Well, you get the picture. And another thing, they found his body a couple of days. They couldn't find him because the Can Heat was going to go to play in Berlin at a music festival. And I think that the Can Heat couldn't wait, so they ended up flying out. And they found his body behind Bob the Bear Hite's, I think a couple of days later, dead in a sleeping bag behind in the trees there. You can see it on my video. And one more thing on Future Blues, one of his last albums, he wrote a long diatribe about the destruction of the redwood forest. So if you want to get the album, you can see the liner notes about his. He was a hardcore conservationist, and you can see his train of thought. And okay, and one more thing, his last album was Hooker and Heat. They play with the old blues man John Lee Hooker, and in the cover, in the background there, you can see a picture of Blind Al Wilson, and I think Henry Vestine had quit already, so they put his head and they pasted it onto the manager Skip Taylor. And one more final factoid for you fans, but also for the people that don't know much about Ken Heat, they never hardly made a dime. In fact, they were practically living on the edge of from hand to mouth, because they got in trouble in Denver and they ended up in jail on a drug charge. And Skip Taylor sold their publishing rights to Liberty Records for $10,000 so they could, for the bail money. Can you believe it? These poor guys, they never made any money on any of their songs. Okay, well, here you go. That's Bob the Bear Hite on the left, Vito de la Parra, Alan Blind Al Wilson, Henry the Sunflower Vestine, and Larry the Mole Taylor. The original lineup, the classical lineup from 1967 on. Okay, may they be in a better place, Henry, Alan, and Bob. And thank you for all the happiness and the great music you gave the world. Thank you, Ken Heat, Vito, and Larry Taylor. Thank you very much for everything you did for the world and for your great, fantastic music for us blues fans. Long live Ken Heat.